Let's talk some sports, baby.
And remember, make tomorrow better than today and make today better than yesterday. And you know what we gonna do. We gonna holler at you until next time, baby.
Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom with Jay Wise and Nathan Drinkard. I'm your host, Cody Ward. Thank you for spending some of your time with us tonight. And as a reminder to all our listeners, besides being on all your favorite podcast platforms, A Drink of Wisdom is also on YouTube with each show segment available. Head on over, and if you like what you hear, well, we would appreciate your subscription. What's going on, guys? Got a couple news bits today, I think. What do you think?
Just a few of them, just a smidge here and there. But hey, no time to waste. Let's go ahead and put them in their place. Let's roll.
Like, let's talk some sports, baby. And talking is what we gonna do. Listen, I say this every week, and I believe this. We see what they don't, and we're gonna say what they want. And listen, this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, probably gonna go down as one of the few 3-day stretches of football that was just marvelous. I loved it. Good weekend. I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
All right. In episode 27, we're recapping that weekend of football with the NFL playoff recaps and a look back at the college football playoff national championship. But before we can get into any football, we got to start in the NBA tonight with a blockbuster trade, possibly one of the biggest in NBA history. The Houston Rockets have traded James Harden to the Brooklyn Nets as part of a 4-team mega trade. The disgruntled superstar has been calling for a trade through the offseason despite new management and new additions to the team, such as John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins. The Nets, Pacers, Cavaliers were all part of the trade, and this is kind of the breakdown. So the Rockets obviously shipped James Harden to the Nets. In return, the Rockets received Victor Oladipo, Dante Exum, among some other players, 3 Brooklyn first-round picks, 22, 24, 26, a Milwaukee first-round pick in 2022, and 4 pick swaps with Brooklyn, 21, 23, 25, and 27. Essentially, the Nets put every first-round pick on the table for those in the form of pick swaps, 3 and outright, just here's the pick, have fun. The Nets obviously get back James Harden. The Pacers get Karis LeVert and a second-rounder, and the Cavaliers got Jarrett Allen and Taurean Prince. So it's a loaded trade drink. So with that in mind, what are your initial thoughts, and who seems to have won the trade more or less right now?
Well, listen, Brooklyn won the trade. Well, if Brooklyn won the trade and the Rockets was second. Why? Because they got the best players of the trade. Brooklyn got James Harden, and the Pacers ended up getting not the Pacers, the Rockets. The Rockets ended up getting Victor Oladipo, right? So I think those was the 2 best players in this trade. I understand it was some young guys, and for what it's worth, but those 2 are the guys that established themselves as whatever level that you put them on. So I think Brooklyn won. But let me tell you something. James Harden, this dude, his plan worked. Evil genius, call it whatever you want. But I personally think this. Remember we was talking about this a couple months ago, and they was like, oh, man, you ain't selling the form for James Harden. You don't know. And then it was like, the only way you get James Harden, you got to put in Kyrie or KD, right? That's what we kept hearing. It got to be Kyrie or KD. So James Harden said, hold up, hold glass that I got from the Thrill Club. Let me show you something. So what he did was came in the season, with his dad bod looking like Frosty the Snowman. Then he didn't play that well, right? And then on top of not playing well and not looking good, I mean, let's be real here. Like, James Harden never looked like, a bodybuilding model ever, but he didn't look like he looked this year either. This year, he looked like he pulled up to the stadium in a minivan. So you got them to. Then on top of that, what he start doing? He started talking trash. Now, at first, he wasn't talking as much trash. He just like, I don't want to be here. And that's it. Hey, James Harden, why you don't want to be here? Next question. But last night was like, listen, this is the straw that breaks the camel back. And I was like, I understand why he was upset. What I don't understand why he was so upset with the team. Okay, I do agree. You're not good enough to win a championship. That I agree with. I ain't mad at you for speaking the truth. However, you do know you're part of the problem too, right? Like you're not without fault here. And why do I say that? Because since the season started, once James Harden had to pass like 32 COVID tests because he want to do what he want to do, since he's been playing, right? James Harden, there's no way you could tell me this guy looks like James Harden. And I got it. A lot of players that started off, they starting off slow, and you had a 71 day off season, so that's not.
Real quick, I'll say he did have 44 in his first game. He came back, and then he had 34, 33. He didn't dress for the Sacramento game, and then he's been like bad since.
Right, because it's levels to this. It's levels to this leverage. He came back, right? Played them 3 games, so he showed, hey, I can still ball when I want to. But then he said, if I come out here and ball, it's gonna make it hard for me to get traded for. So no, let me get a tad bit mediocre. So then he gets tad bit mediocre. And listen, it's for 1 or 2 reasons why he got tad bit mediocre. I don't know. It's not like James Harden called me and told me, but it got to be 1 or 2 reasons. Reason number 1, he was out of shape, right? Or he's past his prime. Maybe he don't got it as much, but I can't say that. You just gave me 3 games where he looked like the old James Harden. So I go to option number 2. I'm going to drive my stock down to get pennies on the dollar. How do I do that? I play a lot worse, and then I start talking trash. He did both. He made his comment last night, and guess what happened today? He is now traded to the Brooklyn Nets. So I just want to say, hey, James Harden, you're an evil genius. You went out here, got fat, played like crap, and got what you wanted. That is beautiful. That is the American dream right there. But for him to come out and be like, hey, I gave this city all I got. Did you really? I mean, you played well for this city. I'm not gonna lie. Did you really give him all you got? Because you drove away every other teammate you had. Did you do it for the city or did you do it for yourself? Because it felt like if you did it for the city, you would have got along with those other guys a little better so you could get a title. That's just me. Might be saying it wrong, but okay. Now you got a good location. Now, enough of bashing Harden on his decision. Evil genius is what it is. And I think Houston did do the right thing by going to get rid of him. You might as well just get rid of him. If you're going to be at press conferences, like talking down on the team and doing this, come on. You got 14 other guys here. Just let it go. You won't be the first team to suck, after making the playoffs. You'll be fine. Just let it go. Figure out what you can do with the draft picks and everything else you got for him, and just look in the future. It is what it is. It's over with. Now, let's talk about his impact with Brooklyn now, because now we know where he's going. We know who's going to be on his team. And I want to say this. Hey, Nets, y'all did a fantastic job too. Y'all waited. Y'all was patient. Clearly, that Russian cat that used to own the team ain't the owner no more because he would have been messed it up. So, you went out there, you was able to keep KD, which I figured they were gonna keep KD no matter what, but you was able to keep Kyrie too. Now I don't know, as of right now, I don't know how promising that is to keep Kyrie, but you did get James Harden without trading Kyrie. But we done seen in these last couple of weeks. I don't know what Kyrie got going on. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Jay got his opinion, but I would say this. You was able to keep a core 3 now. Now you have the 3. You got James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and KD. If you get them 3 on the page, even though your bench probably looked like one of those little wire fence that you see outside of farms, it's pretty thin. You still got 3 guys that can get it done. So let's see how that go. I think this move, to me, the Nets easily the top 2 team in the East, if not number 1. It just depends on who you're talking to. This move catapult them to the top, make them contenders, because if one have an off night and the other 2 don't, that's a dub. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be very hard to stop all 3. But before I close this out, as far as the trade go, it was a win for Brooklyn. I think it's a win for Houston as well. And if you dive into it, I was just saying something about this to you guys earlier. I like that the Cavs was able to get Jared Allen. I think that's a good piece for them. Look out for them to make a little playoff push this year with their young guys. So I think the trade benefited a lot of teams. Of course, it's always a loser. To me, I would have to like really dive in to call somebody a straight clear cut 100% loser. But I think every team involved in this trade end up getting something that they can use as far as this year or something they can use in the future. So I thought the trade was good. James Harden, you're a genius. Keep eating like you eat.
I'm hesitant to full on declare a winner on this trade. I think we need to see a little bit of what follows this transaction. It is pretty. It's definitely this. I think it's a safe pick to go ahead and say, yeah, the Nets won this trade because they absolutely get the best player. But I'm really intrigued by what Houston did. They get just an onslaught of draft picks. The Oladipo pickup is interesting, and you look at what they did with the Russell Westbrook trade. So they give up two established superstars, and they get in some sense a has-been in John Wall, who can he still play? I don't know if we fully know that yet. Then Oladipo, he's had some injury troubles, but I mean, when Oladipo left Oklahoma City, he became a real star in Indiana, and had it not been for some bad luck with injuries, and we don't know how good those Indiana teams may have been. So I mean, I like what Houston's doing. They recognize pretty quickly. It seemed after you dump the coach and your GM slinks on out of town to Philadelphia. You could see what that did to those Westbrook and Harden. You get Westbrook out of there. I thought it was inevitable that they should move on from James Harden as well. Harden definitely had a hand in this. It's just the same thing that we talk about from time to time, the difference between NBA players and NFL players. I mean, NBA players, they get their way eventually. The ones with a certain stature in this league. That's what James Harden has. In regards to what it means for the Nets, it's definitely the three-headed monster of Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Kevin Durant. They're going to score a lot of points. I don't think there can be no question about that. I am concerned a little bit about how it all fits together, particularly on the defensive end. And these the loss of Jared Allen and Karis LeVert. I don't want to understate those two losses. I think if you went around to talent evaluators around the NBA, if you could have Jared Allen or DeAndre Jordan, I think Jared Allen wins that battle hands down. I think, of course, they probably had to let go of him because I think, given his youthfulness, he's probably the more attractive commodity than Jordan. But then Karis LeVert, he's an up and coming star. I think it's that little detail can get lost in this deal. But I think the Pacers and how he plays, that's something worth watching. Can the Pacers kind of remain on the trajectory they were with Victor Oladipo? I think that could be somewhat of a seamless transition. Karis LeVert's going to get an opportunity to star on that team. He's going to fill in where Oladipo left off. So I think that's something worth paying attention to. But with Brooklyn, like, how does it fit? Because I think this is a scenario we went through, a couple months ago, and we talked about, what would it mean? I'm not worried about Kevin Durant and how he fits. He's proven he can fit on any team with any amount of stars. The thing I'm interested in is, assuming Kyrie ever gets back on the floor, what does it look like with him and James Harden? That's the question I have. And is Steve Nash, is he capable or can he manage all those personalities as a first-year head coach? Now, of course, he's got Mike D'Antoni to lean on as, the lead assistant, so to speak. So that's got to be somewhat beneficial. But there's still a lot of unknowns. I think I got to see this play out to some extent before I'm comfortable, putting any type of real expectation on them. I do think it is a fair assessment to say, I think on paper before it works out that you would think they'd be, probably I'd maybe put them right behind Milwaukee at this point, but I believe they're 5-6 or something like that. We do know KD, he's been in the COVID protocol or whatever that's going on with that. And of course, speaking of Kyrie, where is Kyrie? I mean, we don't even, I don't think we know. He's missed, what is this, 5 straight games. And now, and these are just, you just peruse the interwebs and you just see certain things. But now you're seeing, people got real concerns, people that know him, could he possibly just sit out the rest of the season? I'm just curious, like I'd be interested in speaking to Kyrie Irving at this point. I know he wouldn't have no interest in speaking to me, but what's going on though? Like, it's a real question mark. It seems like every time we speak of Kyrie Irving, it's like, what is he doing? There's no injury that we know of. There's no injury. It's been described as personal reasons. And I'm not saying there's not a valid reason that he's not playing basketball.
I think it was a valid reason. They asked Steve Nash, did you know Kyrie wasn't going to play? No, he didn't call and say nothing. He just didn't show up. And then right before a game, running him that he wasn't playing. So I don't think it's a valid reason. I think it's Kyrie. That speaks. I was going to get there eventually, but that does speak volume, doesn't it? I mean, when your employers like don't know where you are and don't know why you're playing, that's something that the general, average Joe, that's not going to fly. It's one thing to just not be at work. Maybe you can slide to some extent, with some level of leniency, but then you're not going to even bother to offer up an explanation. You can probably go find employment somewhere else. Obviously, that's not what's taking place here. But it's just curious. And now you're seeing all these things like Monday you was at a birthday party and you was maskless and like that. I mean, that doesn't matter much to me. But then Tuesday we're like, what are we doing? We're on a Zoom call at a Democratic district attorney in New York, a launch party for her. Like, yeah, because that's really cool. Like, I'm just, the whole idea, I'm split on those things because, somebody had a birthday party and you want to go do that. And I think that's, that we're reaching if we want to, regulate those aspects of people's lives. I'm not going to be mad at that at all. But now I don't, conservative, liberal, whatever you want to call it. I think Brooklyn Nets fans would be much more interested in what Kyrie Irving can do for them on the basketball court. I'm not that I would, even if I was a liberal, I wouldn't be all that interested in, Kyrie Irving's politics. That's not helping us win basketball games, which is, kind of that's the reason you're getting paid. And no one's saying that Kyrie Irving can't have, his views or, even if sometimes they seem a bit ludicrous, I don't think the earth's flat myself. But it's just one of those things where you look at it and you say, Kyrie, like, I mean, everybody, you can do both of these things you seemingly want to do. You can have an impact in your community, but don't forget why you're on this, national stage in the first place. It's because of your ability on the basketball court. And I think at some point, you gotta, people close to Kyrie have got to ask him, like, do you still want to play basketball? That's the question I have, but I think, again, you can do both things. I think you can have a great impact on the community and play the game of basketball, but it doesn't appear to me right now that he wants to do both. If you're missing 5 straight games and there's no reason whatsoever, I don't know why the Nets are paying him. And to some extent, is that the reason the Nets felt like they had to do this? Because they feel like Kyrie Irving is unreliable? That's a question I have. So, and when you look at it from that perspective, maybe this is not a 3-headed monster that we think it is. Maybe the Nets did this because they just can't rely on Kyrie Irving and they need somebody to fill that void.
Yeah, this whole thing, we haven't had a chance to really get into the NBA season yet. Football has been so wide open. But the Nets, we remember, they won their first 2 games. They beat Golden State, and then they beat Boston. And it was just, the Nets are going to win it all. Go ahead and send them the trophy. It's over, da-da-da. And then all of a sudden the tires started coming off, the train started coming off the tracks, and then Kyrie's off dancing and doing Zoom calls and all the things you just laid out. And I'm very surprised that they got this done, because I kept thinking, okay, they are going to trade James Harden, but it's not going to be to Brooklyn. They're not going to give up basically everything else they have that's not Kyrie or KD to get him. But like, if you look at the trade, I mean, yeah, they lost some really good players in Jared Allen and Karis LeVert. I'm not going to argue that, but like y'all said, they kept their core. They kept their 3 guys. And honestly, like, yeah, you don't have your first round pick for like 100 more years, but you look at the roster top to bottom, you look at their depth chart, it's really not that bad. I mean, this looks like a roster that can win it all. It's not like you go, oh, well, there's 3 guys and then there's just absolutely just nothing after that. It's like you still got DeAndre Jordan, you got names on this roster. You got guys like Jeff Green, like Joe Harris, like Landry Shamet. He was somewhat of a contributor. I mean, I'm not saying these guys are all world by themselves, but I mean, if you're talking about, bench guys and 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever options, it's not horrible. I mean, this roster, it didn't get completely gutted. So the picks are concerning. I mean, you don't have your draft pick until 2027. And as a franchise who has tried this twice now, you tried this in the late 90s, you tried this in the early 2010s, and now you're trying it again, this thing where we blow up everything to go get one run and one good solid run at it. It was probably more of a move to keep Irving and Durant, though, beyond just the next season or two. You got to remember, these guys I think they were both on 4-year contracts. This is year 2. I mean, by year 3, year 4, I mean, you start to get into the edge of that contract. Guys starting getting that trade window. Maybe they wanted to keep these guys around. I'm concerned about the Nets, though, being all in on this when you talk about the fact that they did sign Kyrie, they did sign Katie, and this is going to be their plan. And they got, they got Steve Nash. They built a nice nucleus of young players and talent. They got together really without picks until recently. Did you really have to go this all in? Did you not believe in what you had built after 12 games to the point where you had to sell the farm to get James Harden? I don't know, but they did it. And I mean, it's hard to argue that, hey, you put a guy like James Harden with the other 2 players you have, you can probably go win a championship with that or multiple ones if they stay together. I share the same concerns. I think this stuff with Kyrie is ridiculous. They probably hope, like you said, this brings him back to the fold. Like, hey, Kyrie, got you another star. You want to come back and play now? You want to come play, man? Because maybe he was already checked out, not interested. Who knows? Some of the other stuff, though, as far as the other teams go, I think that the Rockets still they got obviously a whale of a haul. But if you look at their starting 5, which could be John Wall, Victor Oladipo, PJ Tucker, Christian Wood, and DeMarcus Cousins, that's not a horrible team. I mean, they're not going to be a train wreck. They're not going to be a 20 or 18 win team this season. I mean, they're going to be a decent team. They should compete. Probably not, maybe not for a playoff spot, but they should not be terrible. I thought Cleveland got a nice haul. I think getting Jared Allen is really nice. He's going to have to share time with Andre Drummond right now, who's playing really, really well. He's kind of had a bit of a resurgence down there in Cleveland, but if not, he's a good trade piece. If not, you got 2 really good centers. Taurean Prince is a nice guy too. Cleveland has kind of made some waves. They're 5-7. They're looking better than maybe people thought they were. But I have one question for both you guys, and this kind of comes on the heels of the Kyrie, Harden, and all this other stuff, and all the other stars in and out. Do you think the NBA is heading for another labor dispute issue between the players and the management and all that? When you talk about the fact that the NBA is giving all of these, obviously the NBA gives way more control of their stars, right, than most leagues do. And now you've got James Harden getting fat and requesting a trade, and Kyrie going to party and missing games left and right. And these are 2 of the biggest names in the business. Do you think that maybe this is the NBA is starting to go, did we get this wrong? Do we need to start maybe pulling the reins back a little bit? Like, or do you think this is just water under the bridge and whatever?
I personally think it'll be water on the bridge. I think if you took COVID out of this situation, this would just be another NBA season. You got to understand, the NBA was built on a global game that individuals took it to the next level. So if you try to, let's say, take the NFL approach, that would probably put you in like some hot water. You know what I'm saying? Would they probably want to bring the hammer down on the individual players a little more? Yes. But I don't think it's going to change the whole picture complexity of the NBA. It's just one of them things, man. We all trying to figure out how to maneuver through this time right now. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to bring a dispute where you have a stoppage or anything in the NBA.
I don't think it does anything drastic like that. The one thing I would say is that the NBA should be concerned about is, and this seems like it's probably just a Kyrie Irving thing for right now, at least, from my eyes. But players just missing games for no reason. Like, I think the question in my mind, like they're talking about, if Kyrie Irving, violated, COVID protocol with whatever party or whatever he's doing, he forfeit a game check. Well, I mean, if it comes down to it, that like he's missing games for no good reason, which, you know, given the fact that we don't have a good reason, that we can probably, you know, that's kind of what we're assuming. Every game you miss, you should be docked a game check. And that charity and that, excuse me, that game check should like, it should go to a charity that you don't support or something, you know, because don't go to, because don't give money away to a charity you like, you know, support. You know, because then I don't know, maybe some guys, oh, you know, this is good. You know, I missed games and now I feel good about myself because I'm, you know, I'm giving money to a good cause. No, if you're, you know, if you're a liberal, no, give that game check to Parlor so it gets back up online. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the one thing the NBA should concerned about, and the kind of the low management piece. I'm not saying that's completely ridiculous, but can we, if guys are generally healthy, they should be playing, and if they're not going to play, you shouldn't get paid. I mean, you should not get paid if you're not going to work.